Hi, my name is Dan Barnholden. I'm the CEO of Luca Mining. Luca Mining owns and operates two underground mines in Mexico. We've got the Campo Morado mine in Guerrero, which is a polymetallic VMS style deposit that produces zinc, copper, gold, silver, and a little bit of lead. And then we have the Tawetto mine in northwest Durango, which is more of a classic epithermal mine, producing gold, silver, and a little bit of base metals. Happy to be here today.
Dan, good to see you. So I think we caught up in July. So really kind of dialing in for an update on operations, obviously at Campo Morado and Tawetto. But ultimately, I want to spend a bit of time today outside of you've got these three words that you use, this mantra: optimization, exploration, and expansion. I want to focus on the expansion component because I think that the market is looking for that, and I want to understand where you're at with that. But first of all, let's kind of maybe run through updates on Campo Morado. Things going well?
Yeah. So as you pinned it, that optimization, and that's very much where we're at, and we are doing some exploration, but the optimization piece is ongoing. Look, we did have a bit of a hiccup in Q2. We spent more money than we earned, which meant that we burned a little bit of cash. But that money was spent on very productive activities at the mines. So we continue to work on the recovery circuit. We continue to spend a lot of money on exploration. We've actually just extended our exploration budget. But we didn't mine the grades that were as high as what we expected, and our recoveries weren't as good, and that was particularly on the gold front. And so those are issues that we are currently addressing. In my view, that's kind of why the share price has underperformed over the last 3 months. But those are obviously sort of some of the ups and downs that you have in trying to turn around an older operating mine. And so we expect to have ups and downs, but the direction of movement here is positive. We continue to pay down our debt. And importantly, for where we're headed, we continue to invest very aggressively in exploration.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that last time round, that you sort of tidied up the balance sheet, paid off a lot of the debt, and sort of when do you have to get rid of that? So I think last time we spoke, you talked about the beginning of 2026.
Yeah, so Matt, there's actually, and now that we're so close to the finish line, the debt structure is actually 3 discrete debt pieces. 2 of them will actually be retired in 2.5 months. So the finish line is there. There's about $6 million in place today. We will have paid off the balance of half of that. So we'll be under 3 by the end of the year, and then the balance of the debt will be done in June of 2026. So very much the end is near for us to have retired all of our debt.
Right. Okay. Okay. So obviously Campo Morado, I say the ups and downs and vagaries of operating mines, but I'm going to maybe put the hat on of saying you've built a mine, you've been operating the mine, and you know what you're doing there. Tawetto, what do I need to know?
Yeah, Tawetto, a similar scenario.
Right.
Again, and how that mine is it's a narrow vein mine, which has brecciation, blowouts, and when we're in the narrow veins, it's okay grades and it's okay widths, and it makes a little bit of money. And then where it really succeeds is when we get into the blowouts, the 10 meters, 5 grams, 10 meters, 7 grams, which is the kind of thing that we're drilling at Tawetto. And so there's a lot of fluctuation in the profitability of that mine, depending on whether on any given day or in any given week we are mining in the narrow veins or we're mining in the blowouts of brecciation. And so that's where we are there. I'm expecting good things there. And again, exploration is the name of the game there. I don't recall last time last time I was on whether we had announced the transaction where we consolidated the land package. We bought some ground that was owned by Fresnillo. We bought it for $400,000 cash. No royalties, no trailers, and so we've consolidated the package. We're very bullish on the exploration potential there. So really, there's a lot going on at Tawetto. We're looking at that expansion scenario. We're doing exploration very actively, and really, both of the mines, and this is important to understand, that both of them for the last decade or so have been completely starved of capital. So when we're back drilling, when we're doing underground drilling, when we're doing greenfields exploration, it's all new, right? It's all work that hasn't been continued since, in the case of Tawetto, there had been no surface drilling since 2012.
Right, but it's all self-funded, right?
It is, yeah. It is.
Okay, and cash reserves at the moment look like what?
Well, at Q2 we had about $25 million, so we're well funded. We're in a good cash position.
Right. Okay, so and I don't mean to be dismissive of the two operations, but it's just, I think today sometimes you have so much time to talk about things which you want to understand better. And I think the expansion, come back to this expansion component. There's a word that you use in your business. Clearly, that can mean a lot of things. We've talked in the past about your ambition and your aggression to kind of move to a 200,000 ounce gold equivalent company. So, given current situation, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, and that is the ambition. We think that a company that produces 200,000 ounces will have a market cap in excess of $1 billion, and so internally and with investors, we talk about wanting to build $1 billion company. Right now, U.S. dollars, we're about a $300 million company. So we've got some room to grow there, and so that happens through a number of different ways. One, that expansion at Tawetto, right? There's exploration that's ongoing there. Right now, that mill processes about 1,000 tons per day. We think that there's a scenario without an extraordinary amount of capital to get that to about 1,500 tons per day. Probably not much room in the current configuration beyond 1,500 tons per day. So that, in that scenario, that can be a mine that produces 40 to 50,000 ounces annually. Over at Campo Morado, and this is really the exciting part, is that there are known higher grade gold zones that we are actively drilling now, and some of the drill results have been quite extraordinary. We were talking, very broad intercepts, 30 plus meters of in excess of 12 grams per ton gold equivalent. If that were just an exploration discovery, we would be talking about very exciting potential. Now, we have a known ore body to the north of our current mining areas called Reforma, and that's the focus. It's gold rich. We're doing the work to expand and define that ore body. We're also doing the metallurgical work to understand how to increase the gold recoveries at Campo Morado. Right now, remember, and I would have walked you through this in the past, Matt, that we only recover 20 to 30% of the gold. And we are working with Ausenco, the international mining consulting company, and the vision is to be able to recover 50, 60, even 70% of that gold. So again, at Campo Morado, if we can double the gold grades, if we can better than double the gold recoveries, now you're talking about a real gold mine. And so the vision there is 100,000 ounces. So now you're talking 40 to 50,000 ounces at Tawetto. You're talking 80 to 100,000 ounces at Campo Morado. And then we are very, very active on the acquisition hunt. I think you remember last time I hired a fellow by the name of Adam Melnick, who's a well-known industry vet, has worked both on the sell side, the fund side, and on the corporate side. He's working 80-hour weeks looking at different opportunities, and we've seen some extraordinary acquisitions in the mining market, and particularly in the precious metals market, of companies that have been richly rewarded for making acquisitions. And you can think about Orla buying assets. You can think about Discovery Silver buying assets. You can think about Fuerte buying assets. You can think about this group that bought Hemlo. And so we are very actively looking for acquisitions. Again, we're focused on Mexico, but we got a lot of irons in the fire. And so those three activities, it's growth at Tawetto, it's growth at Campo Morado, and it's growth via acquisition. And so that's the vision and how we get to 200,000 ounces.
Right. Okay. So on the M&A front, obviously quite competitive marketplace out there. We're seeing a lot of mergers of equals out there, and some other kind of smaller acquisitions too. Does being an existing producer, cash flower, help you in terms of the kind of access to capital, cost of that capital, going into these sorts of M&A type discussions, or are people happy doing it with scrip?
Well, no, I think that gives us a competitive advantage. And you think about the situation in Mexico. In the last 12 months, we've seen 5 of our, whether to call them peers, competitors, companies operating in Mexico. You've seen Silvercrest get bought. You've seen Gatos get bought. You've seen MAG get bought. You've seen Reyna Silver, which is obviously a small company. You've seen Prime. So that's 5 companies that have been bought in Mexico over the course of the last 12 months. That takes some of the competitors out. And that also takes, obviously, very few of those companies would have been targets for us, but it sort of clears up the M&A environment for us. The fact that we do have publicly trading scrip, as you call it, we can use that as a currency. But at these recent conferences that we've attended, and you've obviously been there too, we have been very aggressively approached by providers of capital, debt capital, equity capital, streaming capital, royalty capital. When we find an attractive target that we're ready to move on, we'll contemplate a combination or whatever works for that situation. But I can tell you, in this market, capital is not the problem. It's finding good assets that we want to own.
Right. The other talking of, I guess, challenges in terms of what the market needs to understand is you've got 50% precious metals, 50% base metals. How do we read that?
Well, and this has been part of the challenge, but part of the opportunity since I've been in the seat. Is that exact question, is what are you? Are you a base metals company? Are you a precious metals company? Well, look, right now, obviously, we're in a historic precious metals bull market. Obviously, notwithstanding a couple of days of pullback, telling anybody at the beginning of the year that gold was going to peak through $4,000 an ounce, I think people would have been pretty excited about that, and rightfully so. And the market has responded. So while we do have exposure to 5 different metals, and I always am fond of saying, and I even said it to you today, Matt, that zinc is looking very attractive, and not a lot of zinc enthusiasts in the market. Most people prefer copper or, of course, precious metals. But it actually serves us very well to be polymetallic. And like I said, any given day. I will say that our bias when we're thinking about acquisitions is certainly precious metals. But we're open-minded, and the number one thing is there has to be good value for our shareholders. And there also has to be an area where we can add value, maybe uniquely. And so whether a mine is underperforming operationally, or maybe there's some permitting challenges, or maybe there's some community challenges, what we're looking for, because we know, look, we're a micro-cap mining company. We don't have the pick of the litter. We're not Pan Am Silver, and if and when we're ready to buy MAG, we just go out and do it. We have to be a little bit more creative. We have to take risks, right? We have to either take political risk, or we have to take permitting risk, or community relations risk, or operational risks, or exploration risks. We think that we're well set up to deal with those risks, but we have to accept them.
So if you look at what you're trying to do in terms of make people realize that, okay, we're $300 million US company, we could be $1 billion. We think we know what we're doing to get there. You got to bring along a few of the players in the market. And part of that's the banking community. You've got no major capex requirements anytime soon. You're not looking to raise any money, so the brokers are going to be like, well, you better do some M&A or you're going to lose us. The bankers are going, well, you're generating cash. I like that, but we need to kind of see a kind of step up in that cash production. And you've got a big team on your board. You said there's several investment bankers and capital markets guys there. What is it that you need to do to kind of position yourself as a company of growth for the investment and financial community? What's the one thing?
Well, I think there's actually two things. One, since I started, and look, my background, I spent 20 years as an investment banker, so I think people expect that this company is going to be acquisitive. And so the first 12 months was definitely about righting the ship, making sure that there was money in the bank, making sure that the operations were. And so, that 12-month period of let's right the ship, let's make sure that the share price is performing, et cetera, that was done in July. And so now we've turned our attention very much to let's focus on doing something. And so I think one, deliver a deal to the market that the market likes, that the market's excited about, that the market understands. So that's number one. And then two, this big growth opportunity that I keep talking about, and that from an organic perspective is definitely the most exciting opportunity that we have, is proving to the market that we can basically turn an old zinc mine at Campo Morado into an exciting new gold mine through a change in metallurgical recovery philosophy, right? So how are we recovering the gold? And two, demonstrating that there is in fact a high-grade gold component of the Reforma zone, which is potentially an 8 million ton pod of high-grade gold mineralization. And so those are really the two big things that my goal over the course of the next few months is to deliver evidence to the market that that's going to work, that the Reforma zone at Campo Morado is going to be able to deliver substantial amounts of gold at reasonable costs, one, and two, execute an M&A transaction.
Okay, so if I'm looking forward next 12 months for you, or even to the end of 2026, I guess, immediate challenge, optimization, get on top of that. Exploration, you've laid out quite clearly, and M&A, which is, I guess, a tougher beast to I put a timeline on. Is it a meaningful task, or is it aspirational? I mean, how aggressive are we?
You asked about the bankers, and I've got some bankers coming down to site this week. We've got three different investment banks working on three different opportunities today, right? And so we are keeping these guys engaged. They see revenue opportunities for their firms. We're working hard. I mean, the busiest guy at this company is the corporate development officer. I tell you that for sure.
Dan, okay. Well, I think, like I say, maybe we can come back and we kind of get into where you are with the optimization component on the projects and that growth component another time. But today, I just wanted to sort of understand the mindset of you and the board with regards, and this aggressive, because you saw sort of stellar performance this year. From the beginning of this year, your stock's like flown, and just kind of keeping that thing going, keeping that momentum going. And it's obviously you're talking the game of someone who's wants to do that. So appreciate your time today, Dan. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Matt. Always a pleasure to see you.